if you are strategic about how you stand against the grain, you'll have less blowback, right?
Okay.
So for me, I say like when you are dealing, I know she wanted this section. I know she.
You know
Yeah,
it.
they'll call him Miss Juicy.
Backs out.
You already know.
Oh my God!
I'm trying to make a point, Juicy. Wait.
I didn't say nothing.
Shawn,
Okay.
I wanna talk about life, I wanna talk about health. Time to talk about obtaining generational wealth. Yeah, I'm on the grind, success is on my mind. I gotta do it now because there's no better time. It doesn't matter what you really been facing. Keep the faith in all your dreams you've been chasing. Because of her, you have your number one supporter. Stop what you're doing and tune into Juice's Corner.
All right, and we're back with another episode of the Juicy's Corner Show, where we give you all the juiciest content. And make sure y'all like, subscribe, and comment down at the bottom here.
And how everybody doing? You're here with your girl, Miss Juicy, and today we are talking about when to let go. And before we go into details about that, watch this video.
Bro, what is even happening here?
Excuse me, ma'am. Hi, how are you? Walk straight to the police department. You gotta come outside with me, okay? Yeah, they want you to leave the property. You okay? You alright? Your eyes are a little loopy.
We put her in a sleeper hole? What the hell going on?
Wow.
Right, like she done passed out or something. It look crazy.
And it looked like somebody had a ring or something that caught everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walk straight to the police department. You gotta come outside with me, okay? Yeah, they want you to leave
So the police was already on site.
I guess so.
You okay? You alright? Your eyes are a little loopy.
Yeah. So,
Wow. So he almost unalived her.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that ring, so it looked like somebody seeing that going on. And was that the police that showed up?
Yeah, maybe the neighbors called because
That's what I
anybody
was
can hear
about to
that.
say. I was wondering
You know,
who
all that
called.
screaming and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's bad. It's
You
real
know,
bad.
we really don't know much of why this happened, but still, at the end of the day, nobody has no right to do this to another individual.
Mhm.
So my thing is when to let go. So we understand, really don't know why that happened, but why?
Yeah, it almost
Would
don't
you
Why,
do
matter.
all
well, the
that?
question
It
is,
don't
why
matter
can't people
almost.
learn to walk away?
Yeah.
Right.
Like when at what point do we learn it's like, okay, this relationship is not good, it's not healthy, it's not beneficial for either one of us. We're just forcing it at this point.
Yep.
When do we know when we gotta walk away? What signs are we looking for to know that it's time to walk away?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Facts.
Because you have
Absolutely.
many of these domestic violence cases where you will see the person being abused continuing to go back. Even after they've left for a while, they always go back. And the person who is the abuser often uses like their manipulation tactics in order to lure that person
Yeah.
back in. So I kind of am, I don't want to say something and not sound,
Might as well say.
you know, the thing is this, where I'm asking victims, why do you keep going back? I'm not blaming them for the abuse because the abuser needs to be held accountable. But I start to ask the victims why they go back, because I know somebody who is in an abusive relationship currently, and she keeps going back. Even when she had the opportunity to not be in that situation anymore, she goes back. and then she wonders why things haven't changed. So my question is, why do women, male, whoever's getting abused or whoever's getting mistreated or verbally assaulted or whatever, why keep going back to the same toxic situation? Is it some type of thrill? Does it give you something that you are missing? Is it an abandonment issues? Like what's the problem?
So
I can. Oh, you want to go ahead?
I was just gonna say something quick. All I was gonna say is basically to chime in on what you were saying. I think that's what you were in a nutshell trying to say. What you don't want to be insensitive, but at the same time, that person that's going through it does share some of that. They aren't responsible for it, but they also still have to understand that they're responsible in the sense of like they didn't step away from that. So you do that part of the blame you do have to take. And it's like so that's all I wanted to say.
Carlos, did you want to say anything before I chime in?
Yeah, like I would probably think of two things. One is comfortability. When it comes to like maybe somebody is with somebody who has like a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they're like, I'm not gonna get this situation, with somebody else or feel like that. Number two, I feel like, well, number one was comfortability. Number two is they probably just don't have. Some people may not have or think they have nowhere else to go.
Okay.
When it comes to maybe family or, you know, just feel like they're not gonna be they're not gonna be able to be in that situation again.
Okay, well, I can pretty much answer all y'all questions because I'm an ex-victim of domestic violence. And I had somewhere to go, big family. When you see that side of the relationship, it's not like it just happened, So it's history there. And for me, it was love. I thought I was in love. And for me, like he said, the makeup is better than the relationship itself because they go all above and say, "Oh, I'm not going to do this again."
Yeah.
They whine and dine and they do things that they haven't done to you for a long time, and they make you feel like this is why I'm doing this because I love you. This is why they're doing this because I love you. And then when you realize the love, that's not love, and they realize they can't control you with the love situation anymore, then it comes the threat of hurting your children. If you have children, hurting your family, doing things to you to remind you if you try to leave me, this is what's going to happen. And do things even further than that to show you that they're not playing where they will hurt somebody that you care about. So it's more from the love to the fear. So for me, once I realized it wasn't love, it was more fear for me. I had people, I went to the hospital. They told me, you did not fall down the steps. You did not do this. We know what happened. We can't do anything unless you say so. But I was still that fear protecting him when I had an opportunity to get away. So love, fear, and then what finally got me out of that relationship, I got on my knees and I prayed to God.
Mm.
That's what got me. I had a dad. I had brothers. I had somewhere to go. But the fear and the love, it wasn't separated anymore. It was a combination. I'm fearing this man. I know he don't love me, but why can't I leave? Why can't I leave? So I had to get on my knees and I prayed to God one day and I'm like, listen, I can't do this anymore. I'm at the point where either he gonna take my life or it's time for me to take his because I can't keep going through this anymore. And when I went to God and prayed about it, that light bulb went off in my head and gave me the steps to do it. And when I said I got stronger than I ever got before, and I did simple steps that I didn't know I could do until I went to the Lord and said, help me change. Simple as changing the locks on the door.
Yeah.
Simple. But we don't think about that. Simple. I changed the locks on the door. Call the police. Let my family know. This been going on for a long time. That's why y'all haven't been seeing me, haven't been talking to me.
Yep.
Let my parents and my brothers them know certain things, but not only that I did not tell because I didn't have nowhere to go, I was also protecting my family because I knew what my family would do. So those are my answers.
Yeah. So I just want to chime in because even though I personally haven't gone through domestic violence myself as far as like with a partner or anything. I have actually gotten into a relationship right after somebody got out of that type of situation. And it's not my story to tell, so I'm not gonna go too deep into it. But what's crazy is, for one, in this particular situation, while all that was going on, I didn't realize it was happening. And I stayed right down the road from her. We weren't dating at the time.
We had it good.
Yeah. And I used to walk my dog past there and everything, didn't really know. And so years later, once we finally started dating, and we actually, like, she tells me about everything, and like, there are a lot of similarities to what you were talking about, right? So, and even what Shawn was saying in the beginning, there's a lot of manipulation going on. And one common thing that I find in these type of situations is people oftentimes say whoever that abusive partner was, there's a lot of narcissism that happens with them.
It is. It is.
And that's partially where, that manipulation comes in, right? Because they try to make you feel like, oh, well, you either you ain't good enough or you doing something wrong, and this is why this is happening.
Absolutely.
And like, even going, just like what you said a second ago, like, by the time that you really look up and realize, like, what am I doing, or why am I, like, or you get that strength to finally fight back, or try to change the situation, you so far in it, and it's just like, what in the world? Like, how did I isolate myself like this?
Y'all kind of made me think of something.
Hmm.
I was thinking of a time back when I was like, I think I was in like high school or something like that. Or middle school, one of the either 8th or 9th grade. And this girl was coming at me, like, coming at me verbally, and we were going back and forth and all that stuff. And everybody in class is hyping it up or whatever. And I guess she said, "I dare you to touch me," or something like that. So, you know me. I didn't hit her. Just want to clarify that. I didn't hit her, but I touched her. And then she started swinging on me. And I didn't really hit back because I wasn't raised to hit women. So I just didn't hit back. But anyway, we both ended up in ISS. And for me, it was like, then while we were in ISS, we were kind of flirting. It was toxic, but it felt good. Like, I don't know how to. So I can see how somebody could get caught up in some type of toxic situation like that. I can see how you would think or misconstrue that energy for love, because I guess there's like a level of adrenaline in it involved or something like that. And while y'all were talking, I just thought about that, but that was a long time ago. But anyway,
Yeah, and the big thing is the longer you in a situation like that, the harder it is to kind of break away, because it's like some psychological rewiring that you got to do. Like, you got to unlearn
That part.
certain things where it's like, I'm not supposed to be treated like this. Like, this isn't normal. So whenever you get in a situation like that, it's just best to go ahead and break away as soon as you feel like you having them thoughts and stuff like that, or before things start, like you said, snowballing and getting into that kind of situation where it starts getting like physical and, threatening and fearful for you, so.
And
Yeah.
picking it back on what you said, when I finally got the courage and the strength and I prayed on my knees, this was my prayer. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was like, Lord, if you get me out of this relationship, I promise you. I didn't promise myself. I didn't promise nobody else. I promised the Lord that you didn't put me on this earth to be nobody's punching bag. And if you get me out of this relationship, I promise you I will never, ever allow any other person, especially a man, to do this to your daughter. That's the prayer that I asked for. And because some women feel like just because you've been in that relationship, it's okay to continue attracting relationships like that. No, today, a mama don't want to bury their son fooling with me. I gave the Lord that prayer, and I gave him that promise, and I'm keeping my promise. No man has ever did me like that ever again, because I gave a promise to God, not to man. And that's a different type of promise. So women, just because you've been through that one time, that's not normal for you to, every relationship you get into, that's something that you're supposed to go through. No. Just because you've been in a domestic violence, that don't mean that's what you keep attracting to yourself. And I tell you, I had to take time for myself. I had to take time, because if I didn't take time for myself to find me again, because I was lost, everything was gone, my self-esteem, who I was as a person was gone, then I would have attracted those type of men. So you have to take time for yourself and not love you, but be in love with yourself to realize you will see that coming before it start coming. You will see all the signs. So it's no excuse to say that's all I attract. No, that's what you want to attract because
That's
after
what
that
I-
relationship, nah, never again. I bury you.
Yeah, it's definitely a interesting conversation. Like this can, and for me, I feel like it goes to self-esteem. Like if you don't know your value as a person, if you don't know the type of person that you are, and if you don't carry yourself with a certain standard of self-love and self-appreciation, all those things, you're going to easily fall for a manipulator. A manipulator sees
Absolutely.
your flaws and
Absolutely.
they feel those flaws in order to pull you in. And once they draw you in, they find your weaknesses and then they draw upon those weaknesses to keep you there. So if you don't have a certain level of I don't know how else to say it, but self-love or confidence.
Self-love is
Yeah.
really that's a big
Then
thing.
you're
Yeah.
going to be in those situations. And then what I noticed is that it can also tie back to abandonment issues. I noticed that a lot of people who are missing something, like I knew one girl who was missing, who didn't have a father. She didn't have a good relationship with her father. So she constantly was trying to find a man to fill that gap, regardless of who that man was, good or bad. She could not be alone. And I know some guys like that as well. Like they always need somebody. They always need a female with them to fool around with, talk to, spend time with, something, because it's like you have a lot of people who are filling gaps of something missing or someone missing. And so they're willing to take any and everybody that tells them the things that they want to hear. And we
Absolutely.
have to be very careful because some people come off very charming, but can be very manipulative and very deceitful and all
Devil
that
in
stuff and
sheep's
deceptive.
clothing.
So
Yeah, like you said, people like that, they prey on people
Weak.
who are, even if you're not weak and you, like you said, you just don't have that self-love, they prey on that. And one thing I just wanted to say too is that, obviously we know that it's very common amongst women to be on that side of things, but there are men that go through this too. So don't think that, this only happens to women, this happens to men too. I mean, just look at the whole Johnny Depp situation that he had.
Amber, I lost a fucking finger, man. Come on. I had a jar of mineral spirits thrown at my nose.
You could please tell people that it was a fair fight and see what the jury and judge think. Tell the world, Johnny. Tell them, Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence, and
Yes.
it's a fair fight. And see how many people believe or side with you.
And like there are men that go through abuse as well with their partners. So
but see, they're not encouraged to say something because as a man, they always make it seem like, well, if a woman is hitting on you, beating on you, doing all these things, it is what it is. You're a man,
You're supposed to
shrug it
take
off
it.
and you're supposed to take it.
Yeah.
It's
But
kinda
see,
like
when
you
that
look down
man,
upon.
yeah, exactly. It's just like when that man finally lose it and hit you back after you done hit him 10 different times on like 10 different occasions, then he's wrong. Then he's an abuser. Then he's this and he's that. But it's like, what about the lead up to that? Like all the times, and that's why I tell young men, like, you got to know, I don't care how bad she is, how good she is at cooking and all that other stuff, or whatever you're desiring in that woman, you need to know when to walk away.
Oh, yeah.
If the
Absolutely.
relationship is toxic, you need to know to walk
Absolutely.
away because you're going to be the one to get caught up because they're always going to, in most cases, look at the man and see, what did you do? Even if you're the one getting abused.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because that's how society is. But at the end of the day, if man or woman, it doesn't matter, man or woman, if you in that type of relationship and you get out, you have to have time for yourself. You can't jump into another relationship because you're going to take all that baggage from that relationship to the new one. So you
Mhm.
have to have time for yourself, point blank, because
Yeah.
it's not fair to the person coming into your life now to be dealing with what you went through from that past
Yeah.
relationship. And even women, like you say, men, hey, like Trey said, that's where that woman can become the abuser. She didn't have time for herself, so then she's on defense mode all the time.
Yep.
So when this good guy come along, the guy that treats her like a woman, have respect for her, she becomes the abuser. She
Mhm.
start, oh, you acting like my ex and flipping out and start beating on him and stuff. And he's like, what the hell going on? And he's
Yeah.
not that type of guy. He's not going to hit her back. And then when she realized that, she become what she just got out of.
Yep.
And depending on that, who that guy or that female is, like maybe they came up in a toxic household or
Mhm.
something like that.
Mhm.
So maybe they thinking this is normal, or like y'all said, just not having that self-confidence, could definitely play a role in them continuing to stay into a relationship like that.
Yeah.
And continue to get, beat on, especially psychologically, because that's definitely super bad,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a cycle.
Yeah.
I just want to ask, like, for anybody who's dealt with that, does anybody have any advice for anybody who's, maybe
think
going
Juicy
through that
would.
or
I do.
just trying to get away from it?
For me, people say it's so easy to walk away. It's not. Not when somebody threatening your life and your loved ones.
Mm.
Do a plan. Do a plan. And when you feel like it's safe to leave, that's what you do. Because if you know you've been with this person long enough and you know what they're capable of, you can't be listening to what people tell you to do. Oh, you can easily get away. No, it's not easy. Have a plan. When he goes to work, get out the house. Get your kids. Have an escape plan in place. Because you can't just do something at the spur of the moment and then you might not be able to tell your story. So have an escape plan. The only time you can get away, he go to work. He can't get you fast enough. He at work and he might have a ring on that doorbell. You got time to get out that house, but have an escape plan.
Yeah.
And I just want to piggyback off of you. You said, we had to look to God at the end of the day, because sometimes you might not see, like a clear path out, and you just have to go off of faith and just be like, hey,
Absolutely.
God, I trust you, and God will open them doors for you. Absolutely.
Something as small as changing my locks, and I could not see that before.
Yep. Change the locks, and don't, as hard as it is, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. That's like one of the biggest things. Because even though that partner might be isolating you, you also are isolating yourself by not reaching out. So
keep a good network of friends.
Times have changed. It
Absolutely.
wasn't like when I was going through that. A lot of technology now. Hey, you can put the phone on and be recording yourself, or you can even dial 911 and he can't hear what's going on, but they can hear everything and be on the way.
Yep.
So time has changed. So things are different now. But
Always
have the
always
escape
try to
plan.
get evidence. That's all what I say.
Absolutely.
Always try to get some type of evidence, because it's going to carry you, very far.
Well, for anybody that's going through that, we keep you in prayers. They have call lines now that you can reach out to folks, but just remember, have your escape plan. And thank you for tuning into the Juicy's Corner Show. And we know this topic can be a little touchy and trigger, but hey, it's somebody out there that can help.
All right. And just want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Trap Proper. Make sure y'all check out, the Trap Proper website. But we got not 4 different colors. We got 4 different flavors for y'all today. So me, I'm in the black and white, got the suede brim. And all I got to say, man, the texture, the feel, so official. Man, you would think it's something that's already in DTLR.
Yeah, it's fire. Really, really nice. Really
Yeah,
nice.
so what do y'all think about y'all flavors? And what flavors do y'all have on today?
I'm rocking the Carolina, North Carolina all day, so Carolina suede butter soft.
Looks like I got the brown suede brim, you know what I'm saying, with the black mesh in the back. It's fire. It feels really quality. Like, I probably, no lie, no cap, I'm not sure how much these cost since you brought them over ice, but I could probably see these going for like 60, 70 bucks.
Oh yeah.
Quality is there.
Oh yeah.
And over here on the end, I also had the brown brim here, but it's going brown all the way around. And for me, I actually sometimes will wear like the little trucker hats, and this kind of has that open mesh feel on the back. And it's actually, compared to normal hats, it's actually got a lot more room. And for us dreadheads, that's important. You gotta have space.
It is spaced out nicely.
Yeah, and the suede is nice, bro.
Definitely. So their 2 hats is showing off the OG Trap Proper logo, and these 2 have the money wash the tub. So yeah, definitely check it out, trapproper.com. There's way more coming. We got more flavors coming. You know, this is just a little showcase. And yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
in.
And last but not least, it's from a Winston-Salem native. You know what I'm saying? NC. So, hey, make sure y'all invest in black-owned business. We out here.
Oh yeah, all day.
Sure.
TrapProper.com. Go check it out. Subscribe to the email list. And yeah, get your purchase today.
Always trap proper.
All right, now that we've discussed when to let go, I wanted to segue into another topic. So, what do we do when we're getting blackballed? What is it like to be blackballed? Have you ever experienced being blackballed? And the reason I say this is because there was a recent situation where an artist named Keri Hilson, I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, but she was talking about how she got blackballed because she made a record or a song about dissing, Beyonce, and some people say that she also dissed, what's her name, Sierra?
Now today, at this point, are you looking like when you look back at that? And people will bring it up, so I'm sure you're kind of preparing yourself for that. How do you not even explain it, but like how do you look back on that? What are your comments on it now, so far removed from it?
It's a regret, but not in the way that people would think, because that's a song that I actually didn't write. Those are not my words. I was on tour. Polo wanted me to do a remix to Turning Me On. He had produced the record, and he had been on me for a couple of weeks about we need to do a remix. Okay, so I take off. It wasn't happening quick enough for him. I take off. We fly in. He had another writer in our camp at the time. He had her write this. So he played it for me like, this is the remix, because I'm thinking I'm coming in to go write a remix to Turning Me On. Like, The whole time I had been writing concepts like, what would I say? How do I even remix this? Like, what do I want to? So I had lines and I had, things that I would have said, but I come into the studio and he plays me this verse, and I'm like, automatically, I'm like, I'm not saying that. That was my position.
But you knew it was shade when you heard it.
Yeah. You could, but I didn't know really who it was about, but. I mean, one could guess. It just was, I'm an athlete, but
Now today, at this point, are you looking, like when you look back at that, and people will bring it up, so I'm sure you're kind of preparing yourself for that. How do you not even explain it, but like, how do you look back on that? What are your comments on it now, so far removed from it?
It's a regret, but not in the way that people would think, because that's a song that I actually didn't write. Those are not my words. I was on tour. Polo wanted me to do a remix to Turning Me On. He had produced the record, and he had been on me for a couple of weeks about we need to do a remix. Okay, so I take off. It wasn't happening quick enough for him. I take off. We fly in. He had another writer in our camp at the time. He had her write this. So he played it for me like, this is the remix, because I'm thinking I'm coming in to go write a remix to Turning Me On. Like, The whole time I had been writing concepts like, what would I say? How do I even remix this? Like, what do I want to? So I had lines.
And so with that being said, she said that she basically was coerced by her record label to basically put out a song that was dissing these two ladies, and they were blackballing her because of it. She said that originally when she put out the song, they said that if she did not, her record label would not put out her album. So she did it in order to get her album put out, because that was kind of like important to her. Obviously, she's an artist. She needs to put out music, and she needs to get paid and do touring and all that type of stuff. So once that happened, she kind of got blackballed, and we saw kind of a time where Keri Hilson just completely disappeared. And it's been a long time since we heard records from her, stuff like that. So my question with all that being said, have y'all ever been blackballed? Is it okay to be blackballed? Have y'all ever experienced that? Like, what is it? Can we do that to people, and should people do that to us?
Wow. Basically, it's like grabbing somebody's nuts and just squeezing them and don't let them go, right?
Bruh. Yeah.
But women, we don't have nuts, so it's like pinching our nipples or something.
Well, what did that guy say that's in office? Grab him by the way?
Grab him by the, ooh.
Bumbo God.
Grab him by the way?
Don't let that,
Oh, man.
But people blackball us all the time. And it don't have to be like, it can be businesses. It can even be people that you know that'll blackball you. And sometimes blackballing is not like a bad thing. Blackballing can be even not supporting you, so you can be blackballed in all kind of different situations and stuff like that. But with this situation with her and Beyonce, I'm pretty much the Beehive just shut that down. They are extreme. I've been reading some stuff. When somebody come from Beyonce, boy, that Beehive go in. I'm not a big Beyonce fan, and you know what I'm saying? But that Beehive, which are her followers and all that stuff, they are, woo! Something.
Yeah, because people start to worship these people, and if you are a religious person, which I'm not trying to go there, but I'm just saying,
Go
like,
there. Go there.
if you are a religious person, sometimes the Bible will warn of this. Like it will say, don't put people as idols, because that is like worshiping of false gods. And I think when people really start to follow a celebrity, sometimes they get so lost in following that celebrity and wanting to know everything about their life, their kids, where they live, what's their favorite color, all these crazy things.
And they won't even follow
And
God.
those people don't even know you, but you're out here arguing with people online and wishing death on people and sending death threats
And
and do all this
fight
crazy
you.
stuff over somebody that wouldn't give you the time of day.
If
You
Crazy.
run up
saw
to
you on
them,
the
they're gonna think you're crazy and have you escorted out by security, but you want to sit here and fight everybody.
Well, I'm
So
gonna
it
tell you
becomes
what.
a level of worship. It gets weird, like they're worshiping these artists so much,
Well,
So I don't know.
if
Maybe
the beehive
that's
come
what it
after
is.
me, I'm gonna stick y'all with my EpiPen because I'm allergic to bees.
Oh, and here come the beehive. I hear the buzzing already.
I look. I'm ready. I got a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
I'm swinging EpiPen because I'm allergic to bees, so I'm not down with the beehive. Okay, don't come for me. You don't want it. Don't come for me.
Right.
But no, go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say, I do feel like this society that we are in, it's just kind of set up to where you either can make a few choices. You can go along, where they say go along, get along gang.
Yeah.
Go along,
Or
get along, kick rock.
or if you end up growing a backbone and actually standing up for yourself, then it is kind of easy to separate you from the pack.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you'll end up being the one that's like looking on the outside in, or people kind of can look down on you very easily because they outnumber you.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to being blackballed, I do feel like that comes into play as well.
Yeah.
When you're an individual, is what you're saying?
Yeah. When you're an individual yourself, and you put in a situation where you actually got to stand up, and basically be outnumbered. When it
Yeah.
comes to you actually sharing
Yep.
like your opinion
Wow.
or just your experience at times.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy that you say that because you made me realize something. And I didn't even realize I was blackballed until you made that point. When my daughter passed away, I was blackballed because this girl was lying that she had cancer. And I called her out on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I stood by myself, but I wasn't by myself. And I remember I did a post saying, I'm not by myself because God got me. And I said, this day gonna come where I'm gonna remind all y'all. And that day came where she was lying.
Yeah.
But everybody turned their back on me. They knew who I was as a person. They knew who I was. I just lost my daughter to cancer. So I'm not confronting this girl saying, how can you do this when people's lives been lost, people's lives have been changed, and you're out here putting this false information out there, but everybody felt like I was a bad person. How can you say that? And they blackballed me. But guess what? I was that one person who stood alone, believed in what I said, and it came out to be the truth.
Truth came to the light.
Truth came to the light.
Yeah.
And I told him, be quiet.
I was just gonna say is just going back to what you was talking about too. Obviously, Shawn on the more extreme side as far as like somebody that's really famous, but like what Carlos was alluding to, basically it's in all aspects of life.
Absolutely.
It really is. I mean, you think about something simple as somebody being in a company that they trying to, come from the bottom and build their way up. Well, you got this person over here on this hand who they got this position because they willing to kiss ass and do all these things, brown nose, if you will.
Lean coochie.
And then, and that too, some people sleep their way to the top. But then other folks, like I said, they just doing any and everything and just up somebody's behind. Whereas you got the other person, like you said, they gonna have a backbone and they willing to be like, you know what, I ain't doing all that. I'm not gonna just do whatever you want me to just because you think I'm gonna kiss up to you. And a lot of times in situations that can get you blackballed, and it'll hinder your advancement, like when you're in a workplace. So, I mean, like you said, it's one of those things that's really unfortunate. It's like, how do you combat that, especially when certain people hold the power for you to be able to make those moves that you're trying to make?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, do you compromise your morality and your principles?
Absolutely.
Or do you stand by what you know and what you believe in, and then figure out another path?
Yeah, because if you put yourself in that situation where you are doing things that is not of value,
Mhm.
you gonna continue to get blackballed.
Yeah.
So you gotta be the best person to say, I'm not gonna sleep my way up to the top. Because when I stop sleeping with people I don't want to sleep with, of course they're gonna blackball me, but then I'm gonna play victim to the circumstances I create. I shouldn't open my legs in the first place to get to that next position. So you have to stand and say, listen, I'm not gonna do that to go to the top. You know, I'm gonna do what I need to do the right way.
Yeah.
So sometimes when people get blackballed, they put themselves in that position too. You know, and then they play victim to the circumstances they created. I'm not being mean or anything, but when you open up your legs, you can't stop opening them up.
I mean, I'm playing the devil's advocate a little bit, right? Because it's like sometimes you just want an easy, simple, convenient life where you just get to be elevated and you don't have to go through the hardship of standing alone. So there are some people who are like, they just prefer convenience over struggle. And sometimes it leads them into being an ass kisser, basically. And for me, it's not something that I would necessarily do. But I don't judge people as much because I notice, like, with some people, like even the people who do like,
nostrils,
yeah, like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna do it, but if you want to do it so you can elevate your life at a faster rate, I'm not going to judge you for doing that because now if you're hurting other people, then that's one thing. But if you're just doing what you want to do, that you volunteer to do to get ahead, even if that's ass kissing and doing all the extra stuff that Juicy was talking about, you know. Hey.
Well, I guess that's the problem is that like a lot of times we start talking about people who brown nose. Most of the time it does hurt somebody else.
Right.
It does.
It like perfect example. Somebody get in a position that don't really deserve it because they don't have the experience or the knowledge, yet they get that over the next person who's a great fit. And the only reason that this person got it is because they were brown nosing. So in that situation, it did hurt the next person.
slinging.
But isn't that how we move as a society anyway? Isn't that
shouldn't be,
nepotism? Like, I mean, like, you know, so many people I've seen get jobs because of who they know, not necessarily their qualifications
Or what they look like.
or what they look like. You know, looks do go a long way. People who are attractive or conventionally attractive do get a certain privilege in certain spaces and areas.
Yeah.
So it's like when you are that person, like Los was saying, it's just kind of like
That's caramel.
yeah. That's,
Caramel,
I'm not
caramel
saying
chocolate.
that. I ain't saying that, but
right there, Los.
I'm not saying that. But okay, when you do get see y'all done made me forget my thought. Oh my god, yo.
No, but
That's because I'm thinking of some cupcakes
Wait.
right now. And caramel just came to my mind. A caramel
Dang, wait.
chocolate cupcake.
What was the point you made?
nah, but if you condone that, hold on, you talking about Trey?
No, you said something, and I was about to go into that.
Oh, okay. You know, I was just
Dang.
talking about, you know, when it comes to you standing up for yourself and having a backbone and actually, you
Yes,
know,
that's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
When you become that person that stands alone and have your own backbone, and you kind of step out, and you know you go against the grain, knowing that you're going to get blackballed, it creates a life that's very difficult. For example, remember when they put the black fist up at that track meet thing or that
Yeah.
Olympics or whatever? There was I learned this.
You
know what I'm talking about?
NFL.
I was
Yeah.
wondering what that black
It was
face
years
The
ago.
Olympics, probably.
Yeah,
Olympics,
yeah.
okay.
and there was
Yeah.
3 guys standing on the thing. It was 2 black guys that had their fist up.
Yeah.
And then there was a white guy that had his fist up.
It's one of the most iconic and powerful images in both Olympic and American history.
They threatened my life as they've threatened many of our lives.
American sprinters John Carlos and Tommy Smith standing side by side on the medal podium, heads bowed and fists raised in the air during the national anthem in the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City.
The intent was for humanity. At that particular time in the 60s, man, we had a lot of unrest going throughout the nation. I think we were tired of a lot of the same things that we're tired of today. And we started wondering, what role can we play? What can we do to bring attention to the plight of blacks and people of color here in the United States and throughout the world for that matter? Possibly we can send a message to society and let them know that although we love America, it appears that America haven't shown the same love in return.
Carlos tells me both he and Smith qualified for the Olympic team in spite of U.S. officials doing everything possible to hinder their performance.
They came against me in terms of taking the world record away that I ran, or changing the time that I ran, and so forth like that.
Center of the field is Tommy Smith running through.
After placing first and third in the 200-meter final, the pair began to search for symbolic items to wear during the medal ceremony. They found the now famous black gloves, but many people are unaware they didn't stop there.
The black scarf that Tommy Smith had on his neck exemplified black pride. The beads that I had on my neck exemplified the agony and tragedy of lynchings that had taken place throughout the United States history. The black jersey that I had on that covered up my USA jersey was to show my shame for America.
If you look closely, you can see the pair wore black socks with no shoes to represent black poverty.
And then, of course, the black glove was to show black unity.
Carlos says the strong and decisive action led to countless death threats, but not an ounce of regret.
Once the precedent is set, you can take my life 1,000 times, but you can never erase that precedent.
In solidarity with them. Now, he stood against the grain, but then if you look at what happened to him, he basically lost his career in order to go against the grain and stand up for what was right.
In 1968, Peter Norman was competing for Australia at the Olympics in Mexico City. As the gold and bronze winners from the US staged a so-called Black Power salute on the podium, Peter said he would stand by them wearing a human rights badge. Now, the move cost him his career and his reputation, but it won him 2 friends for the rest of his life.
So then it makes you ask yourself, is this worth it? Because if I go against the grain, who's going to back me up and support me when times get hard for me? Because even Colin Kaepernick, for example, right?
Oh, yeah.
He went against the grain.
Now everybody kneeling.
And then did he really get the support that he deserves for going against the grain for so many people who said he was right in the situation? Is it worth it? That's the question I want to ask.
Okay, so in that situation, and it still kind of even correlates with the Keri Hilson thing,
Yeah,
right?
that's what happened to her.
Because what happened in the Colin Kaepernick situation is, like you said, he took that stance. He did have some support. However, the problem was the people who were against him had more power and more leverage and more exposure, and, so they can move behind the scenes and twist the narrative to make it look like he's the villain. And it's kind of the same thing with like the Keri Hilson to Beyonce thing. If she really did get blackballed, then chances are that's because we know how big of a superstar that Beyonce is.
And her beehive.
If she really wanted to, between her and Jay-Z, with all the influence and things that they have, not just in music, but just in general, wanted to like derail Keri Hilson's career, they could have done it.
Yeah, just like
they kind of did. I mean, she was gone for what, like a decade?
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Just like she got
I'm not saying they did. Some people are saying they did, but I'm just saying if they did, she's been gone for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at it. Beyonce won the country album, and I don't give a damn what nobody says. She deserved that. She ain't deserve it.
But at the end of the day, I feel like it all comes down to what side of history do you want to stand on? Like, you want to stand on what's right?
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to stand on poverty.
What's right or what's convenient? Because at the end of the day, like, if somebody, like you said, is standing on convenience, and then all of a sudden, the person that they're, like, sleeping with or whatnot, ends up having an issue with somebody else, and then they're like, hey, you can't, speak against us, or me, because we don't want this person to actually advance in the company or something like that. It's like, you're going to be quiet.
And I get that, but I also know karma
don't
play.
Yep.
True.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
My point in my life now, I be mindful and careful of the moves I make. It's like me playing chess. Because see, when you do those things because you want to move quickly and not work so hard, and you get to the top and you think I finally did it, karma come back and remind you of who's the boss.
Yeah, just when you think you up.
Yeah. So you can't step on people's toes and break down people's backs because you don't want to work hard and you want to go the easy way and blackballing people. You see what I'm saying? Because those people who do that, they don't treat people right. They feel like they're above people, some women with their looks, their bodies, and they use that leverage on these jobs because they done slept with all these high power people, But then when the next pretty face come in, that karma.
And they get mad.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we have to be mindful and careful of the chess moves that we make in life because Karma don't have no expiration date and don't
Yeah.
have no time when she coming.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta look. If you gonna build that shaky tower, don't you can't be mad if it come tumbling down.
mad, we
Like,
start
All
doing
I'm
stank
saying is
legs.
that like you have to be strategic. If you are strategic about how you stand against the grain, you will have less blowback, right? So for me, I say like when you are dealing, I know she wanted to be sexual. I know she.
You know
yeah,
it.
they'll call him Miss
Blowing
Juicy.
backs out.
You already know.
Oh my god! I'm trying to make a point, Juicy. Wait.
I didn't say nothing.
Shawn
Okay.
blowing backs.
Yo.
Oh, he's getting blown back.
I'm gonna give it to myself. I'm gonna drink this tropical water.
Okay. What I was trying to say before Juicy and jumped in, okay, is that when you are trying to go against the grain, you don't always have to do that in public.
Absolutely.
You don't always have to be on screen when you're doing it. I think when people are going against the grain, you need to think about ways in which you can do it strategically. Like maybe you go against the grain by investing in something that is opposing to it behind the scenes. Or maybe you give time or give some type of effort to something that's opposing to it behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go against the grain, you do have to be careful because you still have a family to feed. You still have things to pay for. You still have aspirations and goals that you're trying to achieve. And sometimes in certain industries, whether it be in the celebrity world or at your job or whatever, there are people that will blackball you because of the things you say and do. So you have to be very strategic, which I think our community could benefit from that as well. Being strategic.
And that just goes back to like what Juicy said. You know, you got to play chess, not checkers.
Yes.
So,
You
know,
better
it's
say
like
that.
it's like playing cards. You know, if you show all your cards, then you know, especially when you know somebody's like against you in that light, like then you have to be strategic.
be
But
sure.
at the same time, you can't be scared either to have some blowback because that's naturally going to come with that territory when it comes down to, you know, you trying to do something that somebody doesn't want you to accomplish. You know, so it kind of goes hand in hand. You just got to be smart about how you go about doing it. And then, you know, obviously get the right resources, be strategic, and just put yourself in the best position to win because like what Los was saying earlier, you know,
Right.
you got to make sure that when it comes down to when it's all said and done, you know, when you go to sleep at night, you got to look back and you basically going to have to answer to yourself and God.
Right.
Yeah, and if you are gonna take that stance when it comes to like just growing that backbone and actually speaking up for yourself, you got to know that it is gonna be, you know, some blowback. You know, that's
the word.
involved.
That's the word I was trying to say.
Blow
That ain't what I heard. That ain't what I heard earlier.
Blow something.
That ain't what I said. I said we're not having
Yeah,
an
that's the
episode.
word right there.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
had
it.
to help you out a little bit.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I
come on now.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I was like, wait a minute now. We
Yeah,
talking
she
about
said.
being blackballed. We talking about Brokeback Mountain.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Oh no. Shawn, you stay on your side over there.
Yo, I cannot. See, you see what I deal with. Y'all see what I got to go through on this podcast, bro. Oh my god.
Yeah, so
It's strictly professional.
We have fun, y'all. We have fun.
Tune in to After Dark.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but,
go ahead.
but really, just don't get them balls squeezed. You know, don't you know? People don't let go of them. You know what I'm saying? That black ball. I'm telling you, it don't feel good. Even as a woman, we feel that pain when somebody do something that hurts you so bad.
Yeah.
We feel that. So treat folks the way you want to get treated. Period.
Facts.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
totally
What goes
agree.
around comes around. So
Yeah.
you want to be treated good, then you feed that out, and you'll get that back. Just the bottom line.
But also avoid situations that you know are not good for you. I think people need to use their discernment more. People need to stop walking into situations where they know certain things are happening and certain influences have certain power in order to make people do things in that space. So you need to be more strategic about not only how you push back, but also the spaces that you allow yourself to enter.
Just mind your damn business.
Facts.
Period.
Mind your business.
Just mind your damn business.
yeah.
That part. Right
For an
there.
example, if you're on the job and you know, you probably haven't been treated like you were supposed to be treated, and you know you're gonna end up saying something because somebody triggering you, make sure you save your money up. So whenever, you know, that blowback
Yep.
comes back
Blowback.
at you,
Yeah, facts.
then you can tell that manager, hey, I don't need this. You know, I can just bounce up out of here. And, you know, they probably think, oh, he's not gonna say nothing because he need this job. He's living paycheck to paycheck. I'm like, oh nah. I actually put that aside and I can actually bounce up out of here and find something else or just be stable.
Yeah.
I ended with this. If you got a union, go to your union.
Go to your union, but always put yourself in a position to win. That's the main thing. But with that, we are going to go ahead and check this out from our sponsors.
All right. And just so you know, you never know what you're going to get when you tune in to the Juicy's Corner Show.
You sure definitely don't not fooling with Miss Juicy. Y'all don't know. But y'all, let me tell you a little bit about my business. Okay. Nasty Nipples Exotic Treats. You like, nasty nipples? Yes, because all of my treats are not made for perfection. They are made to appetize your soul, which means everything that I make is delicious. My treats are sloppy, juicy, and you're gonna get a perfection of taste that makes your eyes roll in the back of your head. So today, I have my nice treat. The treats that make you smile. Hey, these not the naughty treats. I do naughty treats too. But I make some exotic cupcakes. But they ain't exotic cupcakes. Y'all, my mind somewhere else. But I made some good cupcakes here. Here we have the Twix cupcake. And they have the Strawberry Crunch chocolate cupcake over there. So they doing the taste testing for me today. And so let's go ahead and get into here.
Wait over here.
You got a Twix, I got a Twix. Got that caramel.
Oh, naughty nipple, huh?
I put this on some nipples.
I can't get enough.
So everything's moist. Definitely moist. I can tell that's some homemade frosting that you did on there.
Like chocolate.
Man, I'm not even a big chocolate fan.
Me either.
But that was good. That wasn't overwhelming.
Can definitely taste the strawberry with the cookie. And the flavor just burst in your mouth. No pun intended.
I like that feedback.
Yeah.
I like that feedback. So Shawn, coming over there with you, I love to hear stuff bursting in your mouth and stuff. That's why it's nasty nipples. So Shawn, tell us a little bit about what you ate over here.
So this one, Trey is fantasizing again. Anyway, this one is it's a tasty, delectable fusion of different things. Like you have different textures going on, and then you have different flavors going on. It's all happening at the same time. And so it's just kind of like a nice, delicious, moist type. It's good. I don't know. It's good.
But then the chocolate and it's just moist. Just like you at home cuddle with your man. That's what I got from that cupcake. If you can't have your man that night, get one of Juicy's cupcakes.
All right. So we just talked about the topic of being blackballed in America. And it was about Keri Hilson and her record labels. But then we also made it relatable to how you can be blackballed at your job. But now we're actually going to go into the state of employment. So what are y'all thoughts?
What about the state of employment? People don't want to work. When they gave them all that damn unemployment money, I was mad as hell. I got blackballed on my job. They had me out on long-term disability. I couldn't get that money. I couldn't get that unemployment money. They was getting paid more money than these employees was paying them. And these employees wonder why now they don't want to come to work. They was sitting at home not doing nothing, getting banked.
Yeah.
Getting banked. Y'all paid these people more money for unemployment, and then you think people gonna come back to work? After you done, some of them thought they were rich.
Well, I'll say this much. Even with that, like, yeah, they created bad habits, but it also kind of exposed the fact that, like, hey, now these people are getting enough money to be able to actually live off of, whereas before, because the thing you see now is, like, people don't want to pay. Like, employers don't want to pay people what they worth. They just don't.
Not at all.
And they don't want to even pay you the amount that is necessary for you to be able to live. You have to have multiple jobs. I actually was listening to something a few weeks ago, and they were saying that in America, like, they did a study, and basically you have to have 2 people in a household to be able to actually be able to survive.
I agree. I was at the point where I was considering marriage, not because I'm into marriage, because I'm really not, but I was considering it because I need that double income. Because I don't want to have to continue to work 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 jobs. You understand? And then my thing is, like you just said, like, we're not getting paid what we're worth. I understand that there are people who are lazy and just don't want to work and they're trying to cheat the system or find ways to not have to go back to work.
Yeah.
That's true. But for those of us who are actually hard workers and when we do work, we get positive reviews and we're constantly get the little pizza party
Not the pizza
little
party.
bonus or whatever. Those of us who are really out here working and giving our all to our jobs, we're not getting paid what we're worth, which is why so many people have to have a side hustle. And that's a problem. Nobody should have to have multiple jobs in order to survive. We are constantly raising the prices on rent. We're raising the prices on daycare, child transportation, transportation for adults, insurance, car insurance, all this crazy stuff. Even phone bills are astronomical. So it's just like, at what point do we say people are working hard, they're just not getting paid what they're worth? And how do we fix the problem? Because we can't keep going like this. People are going to, and that's why people keep getting sick. And that's why I think it's all a setup, right? You overwork people, you pay them a minimal amount, you make them struggle so that you have more impoverished people and more workers to do the hard labor jobs that nobody else wants to do. And then you gaslight them by giving them pizza parties and little stupid bonuses. And then that way you can continue to use them like slaves without getting, held accountable.
Yeah, I definitely feel like nowadays it's like no in between anymore.
Yeah.
It's more so either you're going to go to work and you're going to work 10 hours, and like you said, be underpaid, or they're going to find any little excuse to kind of let you go, and you end up, being cut. And like you said, you end up having to have either being with somebody to bring in, like, to compensate for that, or you get a hobby or something.
And we don't
like
get
that.
2-week notices when we get fired.
Right. They just
So I don't understand why we have to give a 2-week notice, but we don't get that in return.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Employers don't get the same like rules and regulations that employees get. We have to do 2-week notices. We have to constantly be in communication. We have to be verbally accosted, abused, and disrespected. But when we return that energy to employers, then they can let us go like this.
Yep.
They can take action like this with no, with no recourse. And it's just like, how is that fair? If we're going to have one rules for the workers, we need to have the same rules for those who are employing them, because it's not right.
Nowadays, it's just safe to have a job that has a union.
Yeah.
That's, pretty much, especially for us as Black people, I'm not calling this a racist thing or anything, but you need a union because right now times are just crazy. And that's why these new jobs are coming about. These gold diggers.
Yeah.
They just tired. They're using their bodies. They're using their looks.
Tired of poverty.
And they just trying to go the easy way out. And, and then, but in the process, it's innocent kids being born through this stuff. And then here we go. You're not working. You don't want to go to work. You want to go the easy way out. And then, you bringing more kids in this world and making it even harder. You see? So the whole system itself is just messed up.
Yeah.
Because what are you really showing those kids, once they are born?
Right.
And they looking at you and you like,
Where daddy?
Yeah, we're daddy. Just like the Anthony Edwards situation.
And look at her. She's beautiful. Look at her. Now, any 23-year-old that I know, she would not have gave him the time of day because they ain't got that type of money. So it's all about money. She better use this money wisely because that's a newborn baby. Yeah. You got $1 million, $1,080,000 at that. This baby should be well taken care of. But from what I'm seeing, she high class. So that money ain't gonna last.
Hey, I get that this man making all these millions of dollars from his contract and all that, but at the end of the day, how much does it really cost to raise a child?
Over 18 years.
Well, not even just 18 years,
Even
but let's say
longer.
month to month. I don't know where they doing these numbers because I know some people that can get $5,000 a month and be good, living good.
I can live good and take care of 4 or 5 babies.
But you're not, like you said, high class. And
don't get me wrong, boo-boo. Don't get me wrong. Oh, I'm high maintenance.
But not like her, though. That's what I'm saying.
I ain't finna buy body parts.
Because she's going to have to tell her daughter about like how she came into this world and why doesn't dad want to be involved?
Because she don't want to work that state of employment where you don't want to work to go get that 9-to-5 job. So you're going to take what you done made and use it and try to trap somebody else. And so it seems like that's a job now because I'm seeing a lot in the media where these gold diggers are, and then they not going for the men, they're going for young men. You know? And then what are you teaching these young generation of girls who see this? Okay, so I can rather do this than go work a 9 to 5 job and, can't go to the beach when I want to. You know what I'm saying? Got to miss a hair day, get my nails done. It's just the employment system has gotten so bad to where people will sell their bodies.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's a high price.
Yeah, because
But
we
just-
can preach integrity all
Yeah,
day
yeah.
long. But integrity, you holding on to that integrity, like I got integrity, but you in there slaving away. By the time you go to work, it's the crack of dawn. Then by the time you leave work, the day is already done. You don't get to see your family. You don't get to live your life. You don't get to take a break. You don't get to do nothing. And so it's like, and then a lot of these factory jobs and different jobs, they make you work like 6 days out of 7 days.
Hot as hell in there.
Like,
too,
bro,
boy.
you get, and then you get that one day off. Who got time to do anything? You need to go to sleep so that you can be ready to go to work tomorrow. So it's not really a day off. And that's what I keep saying. Like, these jobs are setups for us to be enslaved. This is the new slavery. It literally is. You are tied to a job. They can threaten to fire you. They're going to say, if you don't show up to work, I'm going to have to let you go. They can do all these wicked things. And there's nobody to hold them accountable because a lot of places don't have unions, especially down here. And so you're allowed to be mistreated, abused, disrespected, talked to any kind of way. And you're just supposed to have a grin and a smile on your face. And if you say something back, then you are a disgruntled employee. You are out of control worker. Like it's just like it's wrong.
Well, let me ask you guys something. What do you think if they should pass a law where all jobs have a union? Do you think the employment would get better?
It depends on, I guess, if they have stipulations on like how that union has to be set up. Because if they let them just do free reign, like you can set up unions however you want, then the employer can still kind of manipulate that system. You know what I'm saying? So they would have to have rules and regulations in place. And when it came down to how they could, make up that union
and oversee
the
situation.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I was with 2 jobs with a union. And I'm going back to what you say, Trey. It does depend on the union.
Yeah.
The post office union it's like you hit the gold mine with that one. They are there to protect you. You pretty much fire yourself. If you get fired at the post office, you did it. I'm being honest. You did it to your damn self. Because that union is there and they fight for you. Then I was with another job with a union with Thomasville buses, and they got a good union as well. But the thing about it is when you're not educated to know that the union fights for you, you're not benefiting from that union. And I feel like even when they have unions into this establishment, they need to have a class to show what this union is for at this job on your behalf. Because having a union on the job still doesn't matter if you don't be a part of that union because you don't know what it is and you just thinking you just paying your dues.
Yeah.
But the dues they got to have money coming in to protect you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
And that's true. So there's 2 things I was gonna hit on though. Just when it came down to the state of employment in general, like, so I want to go back to something that you said, Shawn. So it's crazy because when it comes down to like the base level employee versus the person at the top, this is without unions, right? So a lot of times what you see is the people at the bottom aren't really getting paid. Yeah, somehow or another, the people at the top keep getting paid more. Like they keep on, like, whenever it comes time for bonuses to kick in, guess who's getting the biggest like increase in pay? The people at the top. People at the bottom, here go your little 25-cent raise.
Right.
Like, what is this? Like, how does this really help me? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he about to die.
Yeah, like that ain't helping nobody.
Thank you for slaving away. I got you a slice of pizza. You want pepperoni or cheese?
Exactly.
You're passing out popsicles.
Yeah,
and
right.
He about to die.
And then like the other thing with that is, when it comes down to like, we talk about people not wanting to work. Well, the culture, like the job culture has changed so much, just like the infrastructure in general, right? Because you look at like people in my parents' era and their parents, a lot of those people, they were able to go to these jobs, work for 20 plus years, and be able to at least look, even when they were starting out, they were looking forward to retirement, and they were pretty much, most of them were able to get to that point as long, health concerns and stuff like that didn't kick in, or nothing happened. They were able to reach retirement and retire. Now, you good being able to stay at a job a few years without having to worry about, okay, well, are they gonna let somebody go, or are they gonna try to do something? And most people, to be honest with you, I have plenty of people who I know who they were at a job for a while and then the job shut down or they relocated or they outsourced or whatever.
Overseas, a lot of
And
people are
like
doing
like now you got this whole thing where it's like, what do you really why should I invest this much time into this place when I don't even know if I'm if they're gonna be around or if they're gonna keep me around. And I like, let's say I do get to like 15 years and then they like, okay, hold on, he been here for a while, let's just hire somebody new, cut him, that way
Undercut
we
they
don't have
pay.
to,
Right.
that way we won't have to pay him as much. So
Yeah.
that's
it's
a
like-
huge
We're-
issue.
yeah.
now.
And so it comes back to like people are being forced to become entrepreneurs. People are being forced to become hustlers. People are being forced to go back to trades and things that we have to do in order to survive. Because when you are working for somebody else, you have to realize you are just a number and you can be let go at any time. So that's why I said, like, back to what Los was saying, there is a difference between the past versus now. In the past, there was like poor, middle class, rich. Now there's no in between.
Bottom
You're
rich.
either poor or you rich.
Rich get
There is
richer.
no in between, because if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're not rich. You're
So,
poor. You're
I-
poor.
It ain't even
I'm-
rich no more. It's
yeah.
either you, everybody here, or you at Donald Trump level. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say one thing
That's
to
it.
that though.
Yeah.
It ain't even rich no more.
When we say paycheck to paycheck, we mean paycheck to paycheck, not voluntarily paycheck to paycheck. It's not like, I got these investments over here, which are still making me money, but all my money is just tied up. No, that's not paycheck to paycheck. We talking about like, dang, this is all I get, and like I gotta make this work. That's paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
There's a difference,
And
like you said, between this person down here that's actually like broke versus somebody who's got money.
Yeah.
And just because you got your money tied up doesn't mean that you're down here on this level. Those are two different
Yeah,
things.
because I mean, we see people
Two
living in
things now.
houses and stuff, and it looks like from the outside in, looking in, it looks like, okay, they got it together. They're living in this house. The mom and the dad have a car. Their kids are good. But when you actually look into their life, in order to sustain that home and to sustain all of that, they had to spend their entire check, and now they're trying to cram $100 for the rest of the month, waiting on the next check. So that to me, people would say that that's middle class, but is it really?
That's a
'Cause
choice,
You're
though,
not
right
middle
there.
class. It ain't no
It's
poor.
not.
It ain't no middle class. It ain't no rich.
Yeah.
We all here, and then you got to have the Donald Trump level. You got to look at what's going on in this world today. Oh, we ain't the only ones mad. We're not mad. We're actually not mad. We're sitting back saying, he told you. Y'all just didn't think it was going to touch y'all. So it's two levels now. We all here. It ain't poor, middle, nothing. You here or you up there on his level. That's just point blank.
So then I got a question for everybody, right? Because they were
Mhm.
saying, I've been watching little TikToks and all that good stuff with, Trump doing what he do.
Mhm.
So a lot of people are saying, like, when he took away the DEI, diversity,
Oh,
equity,
yeah.
inclusion,
Yeah.
a lot of people were saying that now white women and disabled veterans and different people like that who thought it wouldn't affect them are now boohooing and crying all over social media. So do you feel like when it comes to taking that away, do you think it was just to affect people of color, or do you think it's to affect everybody who's not a white male?
They just thought
Oh.
it did. I think they thought they were people of color.
I think it's the rich get richer and the poor get poor, and
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
and
say
it's a class type of thing.
So
I
not
still
not
think-
so much race, but more so class.
so.
yeah,
I'll
I
say
don't
there was
agree.
an
Gotta be
ultimate.
race.
There's an
Uh-oh.
ultimate agenda that sometimes is not understood because you're not meant to understand it because you're not in that circle. And on the outside looking in, it can look one way or another, where that's like something that's catered towards race or whatever. But I think it's really just an elite type of thing
Elite
going on.
versus- So more you agree him with it's like more so class, like where you are financially and
Yeah, and yeah, because a lot of those people, going back to what we were saying earlier, they ain't really thinking about what this person has to go through because they probably haven't had to go through that, or that's not something they deal with on a daily basis. So they just thinking in their mind, okay, well, if we change this, then this will benefit us over here, and they may find some little small things to try to, like you said, entice the people on the lower end to make them think it's good for them too. But really, it's about the ultimate agenda for the people up here.
I'm gonna be the devil advocate. I'm gonna be the damn devil advocate on this right here. To me, I do think when Trump was first talking about what Shawn was talking about, oh, they were happy.
Mhm.
But guess what? It was more, I feel like it was more, just on my opinion, it was more about the race, the black. Because we said, okay, that represents us.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't representing white folks. That represents
Just black
us.
people, or you talking about all minorities?
The minority, it represented us. So when they say, okay, we're gonna strike these businesses who done had this all this time and decide they want to stop. Target got hurt behind that.
Yeah.
You know, he's still, but when they shut it down, when everybody came together and said, we're not going to the store, they didn't do it. And they lost a lot of money. But then I'm nosy. So I was on the news looking at stuff and all this stuff was going on. I ain't see us on the news cry. I ain't see her cry. But we knew what we knew. He said he was gonna do this.
It was in black and white too.
He
went to his
said it. He
campaign
told
site.
us. So we wasn't on there crying because we already knew. Y'all the one voted him in. We already knew this, but they didn't think it was gonna reach them. That's why it was about us, what I feel like. But then you see them cutting up in town halls. They having rides just tearing up 4-man little ugly little dumpster truck cars. Just cutting up. You ain't seeing us cutting up. There's no white folks cutting up. Because they did what they cutting up for. He lied to us. I shouldn't have voted for him. We knew what he was gonna do.
Right.
Now y'all up here crying because y'all didn't think it was gonna affect y'all.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. So I do believe it was about more towards the minority because you just really didn't think it was gonna affect y'all. But y'all up on the news and all over the world acting fools when we already knew.
Yeah. So this is where I think both you and Carter are right. Because on his end, I think he's more so speaking about the agenda of like Trump. Like that was more so for the elite. Whereas like what you said, the perception of the people who what they thought it was gonna be for, yeah, they thought that was more about like who it would affect. And they thought it wouldn't affect them. So those are two different things, and that's kind of where that, you know, it was misunderstood by them when, like you said, it was in black and white. It shouldn't have been misunderstood, but it was misunderstood by them.
I don't
like
think it was.
now for me, like it's one of those things where it's like I said, you so busy trying to be ugly that you shoot yourself in the foot. You hurt yourself.
I only had 5 minutes to clean out my office. Come to our world.
Yeah, I'm about to say us as, but I feel like us as black people, we already kind of used to being, you know, in this kind of situation.
survivors.
And
So it didn't really affect us.
It didn't affect us at all.
Because we kind of used to it.
I just went home and ate Skittles.
And the thing is, I feel like things are just getting magnified, where the rich is getting that much more richer, and the poor is getting much more poor. But also, it's the convenience. Like if you got that money, like if you up there, like you said, you don't really have to do as much hard labor compared to the poor have to also do even harder labor now just to make ends meet. You know, because I have a manager, you know, that I had worked for, and even he was kind of like, yo, I worked here for 30 plus years, and it's not really about hard work. You know, it's kind of about, you know, where do you fit in? Like, are you going to brown nose, you know, your way up to the top, or do you got the complexion for the protection, you
That's
know,
the
and
thing,
actually
too.
get up
That's
there?
the thing, too.
Or if you just going to, you know, like you said, have a backbone or stand up for what you believe in and, you know, be put where they put you because you're going to be outnumbered and in most ways outpowered.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's
So, yeah.
just, I don't know, for me, it's just going back to like just the overall state of employment because, you know, we're here, North Carolina. And when you start thinking about the actual pay rate, we are on the lower end of the totem pole when it comes down to the pay rate. So it's like the fact that you still trying to pay people, like, yeah, I've looked recently, like, you know, they trying to pay people $12, $13 to be a manager somewhere. It's
My
like,
damn
what are you
groceries.
talking about? Like $12, $13 an hour?
Can't survive on that.
Like,
Yeah.
and then there's, you know, there's some places that'll pay a little bit more, but it's still not enough because of the fact that cost is going up with everything. So how are you, and y'all, you know, y'all aren't trying to, you know, basically balance that back out, but you still expect people to live and not complain with the pennies on the dollar that you're trying to give them. Like, that's crazy.
And it's something I just wanted to put out there real quick. Just some advice for those watching who are young and headed to college or whatever, you're about to graduate. All I can say is that when it comes to degrees and all of these things, please remember that college and the road to college is still a money grab in a sense of if you go to college, that's more people in debt. That's more people that have to pay back loans, and that's more money that they will get over time, which puts them in a better position. So please make sure if you choose to go to college, get degrees that are actually valuable, things that are going to be around, medical degrees, financial degrees, stuff that matters. And if you don't get those degrees and you choose to not go the college route, get you a trade that is needed. We're always going to need plumbers. We're always going to need electricians. We're always going to need, certain things, because when you get these frivolous degrees, you're not going to get paid what Google tells you that you're going to get paid. Yeah. You're not going to receive certain things. So you need to make sure that you only go for things that are valuable if you're going to choose to go get in debt.
Yeah. And with that being said, also, if you do decide to go that route with, like, especially college, because we know, like you said, it costs to go to college. Only do it, for one, if your heart is in it. And then if you know you're going to put the time and effort into it, because that's how a lot of people get caught up in that debt situation. Something that should have took 2 to 4 years, now it's taking you 10 years to do, because, you in and out of school, and you're not really, like, dedicated to it the way that you should be. So, if you're going to do that, definitely, make sure that your heart is in it and put your all into it.
Or look at community college.
Thanks.
Instead of going to these universities, paying all this buku money, and then at the end of 4 years or 8 years, you end up going into the workforce and they don't even have no jobs for you.
And you still broke.
What you actually, went to school for. And like Shawn said, you still broke. And now you got $100,000 in debt, and you had a $13 an hour manager job.
Yep.
And good luck paying that back.
Well, before we end this episode, I'm gonna be the devil advocate. You ain't gotta go to college.
No, you don't.
You definitely don't. Trust me.
I mean, in these times, if you got a good skill, be the best that you can be. You can do anything you want to, where you don't have to go into debt. Right now, they saying that you don't have to have a college degree. I'm talking about degree. If you can show them that you can do the job and you good at it, you got that job. So, just be the best that you can be. If you that artist, if you that songwriter, if you that fashion designer, just be the best that you can be in whatever that you do. And that's the best advice that I can give you. Be your best. Your best. Just do you.
Yes.
Like Nike, what's that slogan Nike be saying?
Just do it.
Just do it, baby.
Yeah.
Jordan, be my choice. I'm comfy.
Yeah.
So until the next time, y'all, another episode of Juicy's Corner Show. Make sure you what?
Like and subscribe.